have our video editor make another short.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, everyone. My name is Gale. I see a lot of familiar faces, but if I haven't met you yet, I've been investing in WorkTech for a long time. I started my first venture firm in 2012, and then most recently Vitalize, the firm I run now, in 2017. So I'm investing out of a fund too. It's a small fund. We invest at the seed stage. And we also recently created an angel network. So if something comes in WorkTech that we love, but it's a little too early for our seed stage fund and it's more of a pre-seed deal, then we can look at it out of our angel group, which is how I met Noelle and Illumominus. So I'll introduce her in just a bit. But in terms of WorkTech, just to define how we think about that, since you're all in the space, the first and the largest bucket is enterprise software that improves work outcomes. So it's quite general, but these have to be very big markets that truly revolutionize how work is being done today for either employers or employees, ideally both. That's about 60% of what we do. And then 20% is your traditional HR tech. So this is data-driven, hiring, data-driven L&D, employee engagement, and data and analytics. And then the last bucket is we do 20% of infrastructure for the freelance economy because we're very bullish that that segment will continue to grow. And now I will introduce Noelle quickly. So we first met her a number of months ago and really liked her traction and her product. And it's all about analytics. So the long-term vision, as we all know, analytics within HR is not great, and we have to have a solution that will streamline this and give us access to the data. At Vitalize, we love data plays because our best performers all have a data element. And then today, she's starting with the DEI focus. When we met her, she already had $150,000 of ARR, which is amazing for a pre-seed company. And we were extremely impressed with Noelle and her background. So Noelle, over to you to do 10 minutes of uninterrupted pitch or presentation, and then we'll open it up to do some feedback and questions.
So appreciate you. Thanks, Gale. And I think to echo what everyone has already said, we are so fortunate to have Gale and team as a part of Illumominus and truly in the boat with us. I'm out in the Bay Area in last night, just ran into one of our angels at an event where we were pitching. And so the network that they've really built around them is pretty incredible, spanning industries, but also I think, with these angels, oftentimes they're writing their first checks within Vitalize. And so they're really invested in your success and your outcomes. And so we've seen that they're just, kind of going above and beyond. And so echoing Cindy, I can't say enough good things about Gale and Caroline and the team. Hi, everyone. My name is Noelle London. I'm the founder and CEO of Illumominus, like Illuminate Us, based out of Atlanta, but actually have team members that are all over North America at this point. Just a little bit about what I wanted to make sure that we can do today is I wanted to give you an overview of Illumominus, what we're building. We're actually launching a new platform and version of our tool at the beginning of the year. So the timing is fantastic for this. We really wanted to show you what the new platform looks like, and we would love to get your transparent and open feedback on just how we can continue to make it a little bit better. Just a little bit about me, as well as the Illumominus team. So I've been working in and around startups for over a decade. Corporate innovation is really the niche that I've carved out for myself, and most recently was over at Accenture Ventures, was brought in to launch and run that team, essentially where we were making investments in enterprise technology and then selling those solutions jointly into our Fortune 2000 clients. While I was there, I was owning our HR technology partnerships and seeing that as I was building those fancy maps that you all see with startup logos, that it was full of point solutions. It wasn't actually bringing together the data to give HR leaders visibility, and continued to see that over and over again as we were talking to our HR leaders. So that's really why Illumominus was born, was to help to provide that visibility to HR leaders. Since then, as Gale mentioned, we did start in the diversity, equity, and inclusion use case. But we've really been expanding into overall HR analytics as our customers have come to us and said, hey, you're touching all of our HR systems, but we're noticing that we trust your data more than we trust the data within our systems of record. We built a team around us, as you can see, that is a diverse team of experts in enterprise technology as well as HR technology. Our team has built billion-dollar companies. They've started and exited companies. They've worked at some of the top logos, as you can see around. So just really excited to have this very passionate team around us. In terms of Illumominus and what we do, so we really help to unlock your HR tech stack. What we've built at Illumominus is a turnkey people analytics solution that sits on top of your disparate HR systems. We bring that data together so that you get those cross-tool learnings, but you also get cross-company learnings with the ultimate goal that we're helping to make you have more insights to make strategic and dynamic business decisions. In terms of what that looks like and how we're elevating strategic HR, so what we do is we are an insights layer. So we're an insights platform that's going to sit on top of your systems. We can either ingest that data through direct integrations, or we can bring together flat files and CSVs to bring that data into the tool. Through our proprietary analytics, what that allows us to do is bring together some really interesting insights about what's happening across your employee journey. And because we're really built to be a platform from the very beginning, what that means is that we're learning across companies as well. You may see on the market, there are some drag and drop type solutions for data visualization, but what we really want to show is best practices. A lot of you are joining this type of roundtable because you want to be able to share those best practices across other leaders. And so that's really our goal, is that we're all better at making these kinds of decisions when we have more understanding of what's working well within other organizations as well. What we're finding just in terms of what we've seen in the last few months is that high turnover industries really need us. Those industries like retail, hospitality, food retail, media, and sports and entertainment. Those are the types of industries that we're finding are coming to us because they're dealing with a problem that many of you probably are aware of called quick quitting. What that means is that a lot of teams are turning over. Sometimes 70% of teams are turning over every 90 days. And so what we're able to do, because this is such an expensive problem for organizations, $100 million plus just for a small to mid-sized retail organization. What we're able to do is by bringing together those insights, that helps to unlock things like, for example, which sources of candidates are more likely to turn into high performers and have longer tenure. By understanding things like attrition and hotspots, let's say in different departments and divisions, because we're bringing together that employee engagement data with that system of record data, we can help to diagnose root causes. Lastly, there are some really interesting stories and wonderful stories that we love to hear, especially in retail, where people may have started on a store floor and then they're growing into leadership positions. And those are really important learnings for retailers to learn about what's happening in those situations to help to replicate those situations over time. So as I mentioned, we are launching Illumominus 2.0 at the beginning of the year. We're so excited about this with the pre-seed funding with the help of Vitalize. What we've done is we have built out our tech team that in our tech leadership, bringing in leaders from places like SalesLoft, where they took analytics from the lowest performing part of the organization into the highest performing organization, and bringing that team together with all of the learnings that we've gotten from our customers over the past 1.5 to 2 years. We're ready for what's next, and we're ready to launch that in the market. What we're really focused on is differentiating ourselves and really standing out in the sea of HR tech by building trust, making this an easy to use platform, making it a strong experience for the end HR user so that it doesn't feel like a data analytics platform for a data analyst, if you will, and making sure that we're really focused on cross-tool and cross-company learnings. So what I was going to do is I was actually going to pull up the platform and show you what it looks like. This will be very high level. We'll go through it quickly. But I was going to show you that just in the remaining time that we have. And then I have a couple of questions for the group in the 10 minutes of just how we can make it better and how we can make it even more valuable. All right, so I'm going to switch over my screen real quick and show you what the tool looks like. All right. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is Illumominus 2.0. This is a web application that sits on top of your HR systems, brings that data together so that you really have a single source of truth across your data. We're surfacing, this is the idea of this, is that this is a daily people insights platform for leaders like you. So this is the place that you come to every single day. You see everything that's happening across your various systems. So we're surfacing up those really important things that you want to keep a pulse and an eye on, like your headcount, what's attrition looking like, promotions, open positions. We really bring all the data across your various platforms together so that you have one place and you have this data at your fingertips. This is turnkey. So what we're really doing is giving you the basics around people analytics. And then that means that your teams can spend your time and your efforts really going into and further diagnosing some of the things that we're surfacing up. So here you're able to see that entire employee journey. What that means is who's being sourced into the organization, who's being hired, who's being promoted. How does attrition change across the organization as well as engagement? So everything's here. You also have the ability, this is meant to be just really a simple view of everything that you need in one place. So being able to look at across different time horizons, let's say quarterly reports, different locations, different departments, across gender, across race and ethnicity as well, so that you can see how those employee journeys are potentially different across different organizations. One thing that we're really excited about is also we've automated reporting. So through the Illumominus platform, our goal is that we're taking the work off of you and your teams so that you can be more focused on actioning the data that's being surfaced up. So this is an example of in reports. What we do is we pull all this data out in a pre-formatted PowerPoint presentation so that you essentially have a board presentation and a board deck that you can take to your teams. We also have launched this so that it's for division and department leaders as well. So as you're thinking about sharing the responsibility across your team for these outcomes, you have that data here and surfaced up. So again, this is kind of a view of here's your goals, here's what representation looks like of you on attrition, promotions, all of that important data that you're getting in the tool. It's handed over for you to be able to take forward. In addition to pulling all of that data, what we've done is developed some proprietary models so that we're surfacing up insights and takeaways. What we're doing is essentially telling you exactly what we're seeing across all of those graphics and giving you that interpretation. So here, for example, in the same way where we're looking at the entire employee journey, we're surfacing up these insights for you and putting it into plain language. We're also bringing together cross-tool learnings, like for example, sources of candidates with attrition. Can we actually understand tenure as well as who's growing into high performer type roles? We're putting together the external benchmarks as well so that you're able to learn across different companies and what's working. And you can see that we do that across hirings, promotions, engagement, as well as attrition. Attrition, for example, I mentioned is something that's really top of mind. So we're surfacing the insights and telling you the key takeaways. We're giving you the key data points that you want to see at your fingertips. But then, for example, as you're going into attrition and you're learning about what's happening across the organization, you have the ability to double click into any part of the employee journey as well. So for example, if we wanted to better understand what's going on within attrition, by clicking into any point on this employee journey, what that's going to show us is trends across things like voluntary and involuntary turnover, impact to the business, the cost per employee, and then looking at things like across different departments, And again, those same filters that we had earlier, like race and ethnicity, locations, you have the ability to have all of that in your fingertips. So that's a view. I know this is really high level and we didn't go through everything, but wanted to give you a sense of where we're heading. All right, so a couple of key questions that we have for you all that we'd love to walk through together is just thinking about, putting your CHRO hats on and thinking about, when you're waking up in the morning and you're sitting down with your coffee or your tea or whatever and going and starting your day, what are some of those key metrics and insights that would be, this is everything that we need to see in one place? Would love to have a sense of how that's resonating. And then I think my second question is just larger visibility gaps that you all as people leaders have today within data. Would love to get some feedback on, based on what we've said, how this is resonating.
So Noelle, you're looking for our feedback, right? On those questions.
Exactly.
I actually have a weird question. And it's only because I'm sitting here watching the testimony on anti-Semitism in college campuses. But with so much going on in social media today, and not knowing if your employees are going to come, I mean, I've been involved in situations where there's disgruntled employees that come back and they shoot people, right? Is there any way to get information out of social media to sort of complement this information? And maybe I'm asking a really bizarre question, but we live in a very interesting world.
Yeah. So it's not what we do today. I think that the main problem that we are focused on is visibility for leaders across HR systems. There are a couple of companies that we're aware of that are doing social listening within employees. And so they'll pull together things like Slack, meeting invites. Microsoft's doing a lot of work within that space right now as well. And so we have seen more of that of, looking at, kind of other indicators. It's not what we are focused on at Illumominus. Where we've started is, a lot of HR leaders are looking at, and you all are probably looking at a dozen different systems at the same time. And so what we're trying to do is across some of those key priority systems, are there cross-system learnings that we can bring to the table to help you to have more visibility? I will say, just on the note of, let's say identification around religion, identification, we do look at things like engagement data. As we are asking, we can run self-ID processes through Illumominus. As we ask for that data, part of the reason why we started Illumominus is we were pretty concerned with the way that a lot of HR tech companies were building algorithms around employee data. And so the way that we built Illumominus from the very beginning was at an aggregated and anonymized level. So as somebody may be identifying as Jewish and we're talking about anti-Semitism, it's really important for us that if let's say Noelle is identifying within the system as a sensitive topic, that we're never identifying that record as Noelle's record. We use employee IDs to identify everything. That's really important to us so that if that data ever goes anywhere.
The only reason I bring it up, Noelle, is because sometimes you have to look at trends in promotions, like why isn't a certain person getting promoted? And you might find that it could be gender, it could be, all those things. And I'm not sure you can sort of point it out, but there's probably something hidden with it. So that's one of the reasons I just bring it up. Promotions is one of those big things where when you start analyzing who's getting promoted and why are certain groups getting passed over,
Totally. And I didn't show I didn't show that screen, but I completely agree. I think a lot of the efforts, if we're not a DEI company, we're an HR analytics company, but we have a lot. We started as a DEI company and we're still tracking all of that within our tool today. I think part of the reason why we started, to your point, is we were seeing a lot of, let's say, diversity hiring programs, but not a focus on growth into leadership and the career path and journeying. So what we do with promotions, that's really why we exist, is to show those trends of, are people having different experiences within your organization? Let's look across gender, let's look across race and ethnicity, disability, veteran status, different levels within the organization, or even promotions. And some of the things that we've been able to uncover alongside our customers is, I think, that point of people were having different experiences in different parts of the organization. There was a department leader in particular that consistently had low engagement scores and their people weren't being promoted. And so our ability to point that out actually has resulted in replacing that manager, because there was a really high attrition of high performers within their organization. So I think you're right, that visibility of, can I see the trends so that I understand and can be more proactive with dealing with them?
Hey, Noelle, I think, Marilyn, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you so much. And by the way, just a quick share. I love the idea that you can automatically produce the PowerPoint slides. That's just like brilliant. So I can't even tell you, that's just awesome. Hey, quick question for you. And I might have missed this, or you might not have covered this. I've been multitasking a little bit and I suck at that.
I covered a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah. What is your ideal customer profile? Because I think the answer to the metrics and the approach to that is really intertwined into that. What happens in a 250 employee company is a lot different than if you add a few zeros after that.
Absolutely. So we can define that the smallest company that gets value from us is about 500 employees, because at that point, it's not something that's, somebody's trying to put the foundation in place to have scale within an organization. But typically we are finding that middle market companies are best for us. What I mean by that is about 1,000 employees to about 20,000 employees. Now, retail is a little different because I mentioned retail, and retail employs a lot of individuals. And so the numbers skew a little bit. But typically what we've been finding is, if we can go into middle market so that we are the turnkey people analytics, so that somebody doesn't have to have a dedicated team built out to do the basics. That means that, let's say you're having attrition issues in a deli department and you really want to understand that within your store, then your team is focused on really taking what we've done in our clean data and being able to dig further into whatever is happening within the organization. So turnkey, typically we either complement that people analytics team, but we do find at larger enterprise, and we do sell into large enterprise, we have some of those types of customers, but we find in large enterprise that there's really an emphasis on trying to solve something internally. So we're finding that middle market is where we can come in, as we're more affordable, we're faster to stand up than doing it yourself.
Yeah,
So,
I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Sam's got his hand up too.
Yeah.
Marilyn, if you haven't got your question answered, keep going.
All right, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, so, and I'm going to share this in context that I'm a senior leader with a very large company, 305,000 associates for North America, 26 billion. And the analytics team happens to report to me. I'm not the CHRO, but I will tell you there's six metrics that are top of mind for me when I'm coming in the morning. I want to know what my voluntary turnover rate is. I want my market data. So what am I competing against? What is my cost of replacement? Not what the industry thinks it is. I want to know what it is, and I have them calculate that to the nth level. What's my time to fill, my vacancy rate, and my succession planning. Succession only for the management side, not for the hourly side. And I will tell you, moving, being able to move the performance, so much as one basis point for us is worth millions. So those are to answer your question very directly, those are the 6 things that I would measure and want to know.
How
And
are
then
you?
what's the spider web of everything else that feeds.
Yeah. How are you? 3 questions on that. Sorry, I'm going to try and go through. But if you could say, when you say competitive, what's happening in the market, tell me what data you're looking at. And then the second thing would be on cost of replacement. You're saying what's not using market benchmarks. How are you thinking about that, calculating that?
One I can't comment on because it's proprietary, it's internal. Although I'm always looking for sources. There are great organizations out there. There's one organization that I'll call out very specifically, WageScape, that I've been duly impressed with. They do a great job. And I've had an ongoing conversation with that gentleman who runs that operation. Yeah, I mean, we have all the available sources that you would normally expect. Plus, there's some things that we do within our own organization that most companies don't have the labor to do. I'll put it that way.
Right. Right. Okay. Thanks.
Rick, you've got your hand up.
Well, the metrics that Sam was talking about were ones that I wrote down. And when I was in banking and in the construction industry, we were working very closely with Saratoga Institute, which provides hundreds of metrics. And I guess I'm wondering about the expandability of your dashboard. You know, if I wanted to track the things that you showed, that would be very helpful. But if I had 25 more metrics that I was wanting to monitor across affiliate companies, is the dashboard as broad and wide as I want it to be, or is it limited to what you've shown us today?
Yeah. So what I've shown you today is what's launched at the beginning of the year. So I think that we're in a place right now, kind of the walk, crawl, run piece, right? Where I know Marilyn was saying, hey, just having the downloaded PowerPoint so that I'm not putting together board decks and CEO decks, that can be really helpful. So I think where we are right now is what is the most useful thing for you all as leaders to be looking at today. And I think that we continue to expand on, pieces and kind of going wider. But what we're trying to do is fill the gap of the basics on people analytics so that you don't have to have teams that are recreating the same thing across different companies. And instead, what you're able to tap into is that market data, because we're a platform. We're not just a dashboard. We're a platform across different companies, so that you have that context around your existing data.
Thank you.
Ezra, you've got your hand up, it looks like.
Thank you, Cindy. So I'm a cybersecurity professional, so I'm listening to your capability, right? The features and the technology and the value proposition that you're giving us, and also asking the HR professionals here what other types of metrics that you can use to improve your software. The things that come to mind, at least for me, is obviously I want you to be successful and be able to have this and maybe expand it beyond what you are projecting today. And so I know you didn't talk about security at all, but if we are bringing a piece of software in from the outside to sit on top of our HR system, and you're data driven completely, then how is your data generation, transfer, ingestion? And we kind of touched a little bit on the privacy. What does that look like? And then obviously, what agreements do you have for third party, if you use any, supports for potential anything vulnerability? I'm not trying to go too deep, but just a little bit of that insight, right? That will give us that comfort level, or the decision makers, or the ones that are going to purchase this, to say yes. Not only does it give us the metrics, the value for HR, but everything else that comes with being able to provide this as a capability overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that part of this comes from, like, I think something that's core to our culture as a company is that we did start in the DEI space, and the sensitivity around that data that we weren't necessarily seeing handled that way within the market. And so everything, again, that we do is that aggregated and anonymized level. But something that's really unique about us is the very early stages of being a company that we invested in SOC 2 compliance. So if you're aware, SOC 2 is kind of the gold stamp for enterprise software. And so we went through a very extensive audit on all of our processes, our systems, and our architecture through a third party to make sure that we were in good standing. And so even, for the stage of company that we're in, we've been able to get through large telecommunications enterprises, IT and security teams, because some of their tools that they're building internally don't even yet have the SOC 2 compliance. And so that's been something that's been really important to us from the very beginning.
If I may, a follow on. Yes, SOC 2 is great, and it's a good starting and selling point. But what types of things are you doing above and beyond just being compliant? In most cases, being compliant does not mean you're secure or that the organization is secure. So just something to think about, what are the other things that you can offer or can go beyond just saying, hey, yes, compliance, we've got that one. And of course, by the way, kudos on the third party. Having another set of eyes or an external is always a good move.
Great, thanks.
So Noelle and Gale, we're at time. And for those who joined late, I screwed up. We don't have a second presenter today. She'll join the first quarter. Gale will do another one the first quarter. I apologize for that. There were a couple things in chat from Noelle and I think Fred that I copied, and I'll send those to you, Noelle, so you'll have those. Those are suggestions. And are there any other comments or questions before we wrap, you guys?
I would have one other recommendation.
Okay.
I do think it's great that you have a PDF format where you can carry things off to a meeting. What I have found to be more advantageous is if your application can convert into a PowerPoint format, still be live, and take the conversation where the data takes you, and you're not locked in, because there are many meetings we go to where you're having discussions about data and somebody will ask a question, and if you don't have it in your back pocket, or if you've not predicted what they're going to ask you, you're kind of stuck and you have to research, and you're like, well, let me get back to you on that. Whereas if you have it live, you're in that moment and you're continuing the discussion and you're uncovering things that can lead to better outcomes.
Yeah, that's a fantastic recommendation and point. And I think that in particular, one of the kind of places that we find ourselves is we're a software as a service company, right? We're not building custom dashboards for every company. What we're hoping to do is really do the turnkey basics for organizations. And so, especially as that allows us to give more to the user and more to the customer to go take that information and do what they need to do with it. So changing into different color schemes, for example, than what we're using and your brand color schemes, or being able to take the data that we've already pre-cleaned out of the tool, so that you can do what you want to do and manipulating and doing, something else with that data. Those are all things that we're thinking about, Sam, because, again, we're turnkey. We're something that's at scale. We're not building custom solutions. So that suggestion is a great way for us to continue doing that.
Hey, Noelle and Gale, I'll mention this again. All of these people, and we've got a lot of great executives, both CIOs and CHROs, current and former. They're always looking for ways that they can help advise startups. So if there's anybody that's interested in your advice and you're interested in theirs, love to hook you guys up together, because I think you've got some amazing talent that they're listening to your presentation and probably have some great ideas. So I just wanted to mention that. And then the other thing is, just when I listened to your presentation on HR analytics, I kind of cringe because it's more about the business. And so if you can somehow talk about how you relate to the business and you're an HR dashboard, I think that would resonate as well. Any other questions? Any other comments? You guys, okay. Gale, you want to wrap, or do you have anything additional you want to add?
No, just thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Noelle.
You're welcome. And
Yeah,
thanks
super
for
appreciate it.
joining, you guys. Sorry I screwed up and you only have one to listen to today. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.